Good afternoon. Hey, happy Thursday, everybody. Danny and Dusty with you. We got the sunshine in here, and you know why? It's the start of spring training. The great state of Oregon knows baseball is starting, and so we'll get this. We usually always get it. Nice day on the opening day of spring training. Nice day on opening day of the actual season, and we're all like, hey, baseball would definitely work here, and then it's going to rain every day in between now and then.
Yeah.
But the weather gods know we want baseball in Portland.
But also, that's why spring training's in Arizona and Florida.
That's right. I've got a question about this spring training.
Mm.
We've talked about the jerseys, the Fanatics jerseys being hunks of garbage.
Getting killed because they're see-through.
Well, their pants are see-through, like just in normal photographs. And here's my question. The Dodgers are wearing they're wearing their gray pants as we got our first spring training game getting underway.
Yeah.
Their road team, they're going to wear the grays. But what is going to happen when, I don't know, it's like 90 degrees in Chavez Ravine. They're wearing their white uniforms. You get a little butt sweat going, and those things are real see-through.
And look, there's at least one Giambi-esque player out there that's either going Golden Thong or Al Fresco.
100. But you got to wear the cup. You got to wear the cup.
There's guys that don't.
No, those guys are psychopaths.
That's
That's how the Mariners have more ruptured testicles than playoff wins.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. There's plenty of guys that don't.
This is ridiculous. Well, this is going to be something I'm going to be tracking. I'll track it for the people.
I bet you Nike right now is slamming jerseys out from last year behind the scenes.
Oh, they're just reproducing the ones and putting them all at absolutely.
There's no way we get into opening day with these jerseys. None.
Well, Arizona and Florida, you're going to get some butt sweat going in these spring training games.
And
the photos will be...
And it might be the best thing possible for fans in the sense of, like, not just what they see.
Maybe the players.
But it will cause an uproar. And people that will get them to make the change.
That's funny.
The closest thing I can remember to this is when the NBA first tried to change basketballs.
Oh, yeah.
And the players were like, hell no.
Wrong.
No.
Wrong.
You know what's really interesting? This is good. Somehow turned into a drop. I was at the game
somehow?
Yeah.
I have a good idea how.
That
guy.
Last couple of games, just getting out there early, coaches or players have kind of, just jokingly passed the ball to me. Catching the new balls with that material, they're slick unless they are really broken in. And they only have so many that they use for game balls because the difference between one that is really broken in versus like the ones they take off the rack for like shoot arounds and stuff like that, they're entirely different. Like there's the feel of them is so like, how can this be the same ball that you use for the game? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's the same thing when you guys in football, when you kind of, work them up, but it's very weird how different they are for basketball, where you don't think that it would have that much of an impact.
Yes.
But it's massively different.
Yeah.
Well, I just thought it was weird.
That's an interesting take on uniforms.
I know.
It's like, where are we going to stick the landing?
No, I wasn't going
It's
uniforms.
just weird.
It's just like
very slick.
But just the subtleties and the things that matter to players.
Yeah, this is going
to matter to players. That there you go.
I'm here for it. We have. I remember I went to a game with my uncle. We went to a Giants game when I was a kid, and through his work, he scored tickets that were like second row, right above the Giants dugout. And I'll never forget Barry Bonds was in the batter's box, and Barry Bonds, he wore the tight pants. And this was even in like the late or mid 90s.
Mm-hmm.
This was probably like
when they were
97-ish,
hanging over the cleats baggy.
But this is before his head was like that much bigger.
The size of
we're getting a frame of reference of how big Barry was, but he was still jacked and he wears tight pants. We were close enough to where my aunt Nancy, she goes, "Oh my God, I could see his jock strap." And Barry Bonds was in the on-deck circle, and he turned around, and he gave her like a smile and a nod. And
like, that's the point, sweetheart.
The old pants, you could see through. You could see through the old ones. And that was, now they're very see-through.
Yeah.
You can see their jerseys tucked in through.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
it's crazy.
It's way too much.
Yeah.
No, these there is not a redemptive quality of these jerseys. Like you like, oh, they breathe better. It's like they look like paper mache.
Imagine if that happened back in the 70s when like manscaping wasn't actually a thing yet.
Yeah, that's
He's got the afro sticking out his hat and his pants. Is that what you're saying there, Russ?
Yeah, buckwheat and a scissor lock.
Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah,
That could happen.
and leave it.
And for
And
and look at
baseball
Rust.
players,
Hey,
yeah.
that was not you, Danny.
That was
Rust
me.
ruining people's lunch. 12:07 p.m. That was a quick start by you, Russ.
You're welcome.
Already, it didn't take the 1:30 segment about bugs in people's faces. Which you got one guy saying Danny cannot be on the radio during lunch.
Yeah.
Because of that segment.
Which I warned before going to break, then coming back, and then before doing the story.
It happens. It'll happen to the best of us.
I gave as many warnings as I could.
All right, we are on youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan. Thank you for joining the party and the conversation. We also, the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. That is the Vancouver Ford text line. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them online at vancouverford.com. It feels weird that spring training has already started.
How does it feel weird? I feel like it should have started already.
It's February 22nd.
Well, they just reported, pitchers and catchers just reported. And now we're like, here we are. First game, Dodgers, Padres, Peoria, Arizona. Let's go.
They get, 10 days to stretch out their arms?
The acclimation period.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
And even then, they're only throwing like an inning or two here.
This is how baseball works. We'll forget about it. I'll be like, baseball's back today. Forget about it. Then you got March 20th, I think, is the Korea game where
Ohtani's going to make his Dodgers debut in the regular quote-unquote season.
they're going to, they're doing the overseas series over there.
Yeah, why aren't they
And
doing
then they
it?
come back and like a week later we have actual opening day.
Why aren't they doing it in Japan?
I don't know, because Japan gets those games all the time. This one's probably been on the books for years.
Probably would imagine, but
Yeah.
it seems like with this one in particular,
I have a feeling there will be a strong Japanese presence there.
probably
It's a lot shorter trip than LA.
LA to Korea.
Why do we call it spring training when only like one of the 4 or 5 weeks of the event actually takes place in the spring?
When is the official start of spring?
Well,
It's usually like March 21st, 22nd.
if you base it on Puxatawny Phil, it's his spring training this year. This year.
March 19th.
Which
19th?
Yep.
That's early.
Which Puxatawny Phil was his Super Bowl trend continued. Didn't you have a stat, Rust, before the Super Bowl of when Puxatawny Phil?
He was only he's batting like 390 or something.
Yeah, but
Basically.
he wait, what?
On-
No, on the Super Bowl pick, like when
Oh.
Puxatawny Phil says it's an early
It's
spring,
like AFC
the
wins.
AFC wins.
Yeah, it's like 6-0 or 7-0 or something like that.
Yes, I think it was like 5. Yeah, 6 straight or I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I
That's
think-
pretty impressive. That now, believe me, I'm going to use that for my betting next year. I'm going to be
I'm going to go with what the Wombat says.
I'm going to go with Puxatawny Phil, and then we're going to have that. Vancouver Ford text line says, bring back shorts, the White Sox. Ooh,
Ooh, yeah, that's tough.
that was a tough look.
Yeah.
You're
know,
not going to get that.
I was going to wear shorts today, but I was unsure just how much I could trust the weather because I walked outside the other day and it looked nice and the wind ripped through
Can't trust it.
and it was like, what is this? It was the windshield was like 27. I was
like
like,
a-
this is gross.
It's like a fart after a Chinese buffet. Can't
Yeah.
trust them.
Mm.
You just gotta you gotta make sure you're in safe territory then. So you better be wearing pants this time of year. It may look nice. It's gonna be brisk and chilly when that wind hits your legs.
And speaking of bad farts, brisket and chili.
Brisket and chili. I said brisk and chili,
know,
but I know where your head's at. It's lunch.
Yeah.
Brisket is delicious.
Oh God, good. Brisket is the simplest, best thing that you can screw up the easiest. Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down.
No, ask Lincoln Riley because he did it on Easter. That was atrocious.
Oh yeah, no.
when he was
we
at
saw it.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And
That
he
was
was like, "Happy Easter, everybody!" And it was like, "What did you do to that meat? What did you do? Stop! You need
Yeah.
to stop that right now."
I love it when you get the gentrified barbecue that shows up, like with the picture on Twitter of just like the steel lunch plate with the
oh yeah,
paper down, and it's like, check out this barbecue, and it's the most bland crap you've ever seen. It's like,
so Brooklyn barbecue gets that a lot.
yes, which stop. You are in New York. Stop.
Well, I don't know.
You do not get to have barbecue.
I think that, but it has to be stylistically different. Like we have some
So
good barbecue
crappy?
here. No, we have good barbecue here. Portland is not a barbecue hotbed.
No,
But
but
we
there's
got-
only few. And
But
far
you have to
between.
have a niche, and it's got to have uniqueness and flair to it.
Yes,
Like Matt's Barbecue.
Mhm.
They do tacos, which are
Yeah.
amazing.
fantastic.
They are amazing. And if you haven't gone, go.
Go.
It is really damn good. But you have it's unique. It's not like you're just sitting there like, no, this is the good old Southern barbecue.
Mhm.
Like, hey, pretend like you're in Memphis.
Yeah.
No,
that's the thing.
we're
is,
not
like,
doing
Yeah,
that.
no.
But you can find good pockets, but you shouldn't be touting it like Brooklyn Barbecue did they tried to.
Yeah, it's like no.
Right before COVID, they tried that, and it went.
It
mm-mm.
looked terrible. Like I said, it's like gentrified barbecue. It's terrible. The speaking of barbecue, are you a mustard barbecue guy? Carolina barbecue?
I love a good mustard base,
the-
or
the
Carolina something like
vinegar?
good tangy vinegar.
Yeah,
Yes,
vinegar,
absolutely.
mustard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not my preferred.
I think it's my preferred now, and
Okay.
I want to like, I redeemed myself on my salsa. I think I need to make my own barbecue sauce.
I'll say with barbecue, I'll like put if I'm smoking something for a long time, I'll
Mhm.
put it on as like on my base
Mm.
to lock it in.
Yeah.
And it sweetens up
Oh,
a
yeah.
ton. But I'm not a big like normal mustard guy. Like I'll put it on a hot dog or
See,
whatever because
I have like
it needs it.
4 or 5 types of mustard in my fridge.
But I'm not a huge mustard.
Mm.
I'm not a big mustard man. So for a lot of people though, I know Carolina barbecue very popular. Nah,
It's making
not my
the-
favorite. That's a
Ma-
disgusting sound.
making the hit right now.
But that is what I won't go mustard as a preference.
What's
Ever.
the preferred?
I'm dry rub. I'm dry rub. I'm a dry rub guy. That's it.
I can kind of chafe, I heard.
I was thinking it. You said it.
I'll let the meat speak for itself.
Drops and galore.
You guys are horrible.
His extended package.
You just put me in a bad mood, and it's Thursday, and it's real early. It's real early. Those sounds. All right.
I wish we had barbecue that we could get to right away.
Not all moments are created equal, and I got a question for y'all. Next on the Fan.
Hello, sports.
Dusty on the Fan.
Come and knock on our door.
11 seconds. You've got 10 seconds. The countdown going on right now. Morrow up to goal. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Al Michaels on the call. The Miracle on Ice. Do you believe in miracles? 44 years ago today, Miracle on Ice happened.
Beat those dumb commies.
And I've got a question.
Hmm.
Is that the greatest moment in American sports history? There are a few that come to mind. Miracle on Ice is obviously up there.
Mm-hmm.
You have Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in baseball because they took far too long to do that. You have Hank Aaron breaking the home run record.
Mm-hmm.
You have,
I'd say return to play post 9/11 was pretty nuts.
So
Yeah.
maybe that first pitch.
Yeah.
George
That-
W.
that
Bush
was-
first pitch.
That was nuts.
Yeah. You have the dream team coming together to
Taking over.
flex their
Barcelona.
muscle
Good
as the
God.
as the basketball power after getting embarrassed in previous Olympics
That might be the best team we've ever seen in any sport.
in any sport ever.
Yeah.
And the fact that they lived up to every bit of hype that
Yeah.
they had coming into it
It's
was that
it's the
much more impressive.
opposite of the Miracle on Ice team, where it's like a bunch of kids going up against a bunch of professionals in Russia. This was the best professionals in the world crushing a bunch of amateurs,
Yeah,
like doing what the Russians were supposed to do.
that's right. Like they absolutely stomped on them.
I mean, the beatings that they put on countries, they
And they
mean,
could have been worse.
they stunted on teams. Like they stepped on the brakes
Yeah.
because they were absolutely annihilating teams.
But those are the ones that all come to mind off the bat. But the Miracle on Ice, like all of these two, they have so much more that go into them. Oh, and then how about like Jesse Owens winning gold at the Nazi Olympics
Yeah, I
in
was just gonna
1936?
say, yeah, going back and giving the double bird to Hitler.
That's pretty awesome.
That's a pretty good one.
But you think that in all of these like great American moments in American sports history, we're not talking about like Wilt's 100-point game.
No.
They have far greater meaning. And like the Miracle on Ice, when you have in the thick of coming out of the
the Cold
space
War.
race, the Cold War,
Yeah.
you've got your adversary and you have communism versus capitalism
On U.S. soil at Lake Placid.
in the sport that they pride themselves in winning, and you go and you beat them, and it wasn't even the gold medal game either.
No.
It was a semifinal game
Yeah, and not only did you beat them with kids.
that you weren't supposed to win with.
Yeah, you had no chance of that Russian team was absolutely. That's the team that on basketball side when Sabonis took David Robinson and beat him like a redheaded stepchild. That was the that's what they expected.
Yeah.
That was what was supposed to happen. Was we have dudes that you didn't know, that the built in the lab Russians, or I shouldn't even say Russians, the Soviet Republic, and we have mutants everywhere, and we're going to destroy you. I will break you, Ivan Drago style, and that didn't happen. And you get the little Mike Eruzione story.
But I if you think about it, I think it probably is our greatest moment in American sports history.
The combination of athletic achievement with political, I shouldn't say ambitions, the political ramifications of, I mean, that period in time, you really only go maybe a couple years further to where you start to see the cooling of the Cold War. So it obviously wasn't the peak of the Cold War because the Cuban
No.
Missile Crisis, but that's the peak, I think, of media, sports, politics as it pertained to the intersection in the world.
And I think if you look at like all these other great American sports moments, like Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier was because of the ugliness within our own country
Mhm.
that was so significant, and it was so awful before and after that.
Yeah.
That made the significance of Jackie Robinson in America's pastime not just breaking the color barrier, but being dominant at the sport as well. Hank Aaron breaking Babe Ruth's all-time home run record.
Mhm.
That's one that always sticks out to me because we hear the stories of the death threats that he got
Yeah.
leading up to that.
The two fans circling the bases with him.
Yeah, and Craig Sager being at home
Yeah.
plate, like that, like the stories that come out of that, and how well he was received when he actually did it, and seeing that people celebrated Hammer and Hank as the
Mhm.
home run king after, when surely there was ugliness that happened
Oh, yeah.
after, but the man was worried for his life and
Still hitting dingers.
still hitting dingers just over the fence, park him over the fence. I mean, that was a great moment in sports, because that was at the time an unbreakable record.
Yeah.
And we never talk about Barry Bonds doing it because, well, the juice. Man, not the OJ juice.
He's still the best of all time.
The steroids. He is a phenomenal baseball player.
We can just put that aside.
But the dream team was more of like, we're just showing people how great we actually are.
Yes, and not only that, that level of talent, with the exception of Leitner, who's added because of the rules they had back then, the one college guy that they were going to bring along. Every one of those guys is a Hall of Famer, and not only are they a Hall of Famer, a lot of them are still relatively close to their peaks. 1992, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird are not that far removed from 87, 88, 89. They are not that far removed from their greatness. Michael Jordan is probably reaching his apex. Clyde Drexler is at his apex. I mean, you had dudes on that team that were untouchable.
Yeah.
And they were all there. I just, quantifying that team, I don't think you can actually do. But because they're so overwhelming, I think you kind of have to look at the Miracle on Ice, because what's the one thing this country loves more than anything? It's the underdog story.
Absolutely.
As much as we love the Dream Team and the way they were like Michael Jackson, I mean, you look at the coverage of that team going through Barcelona, and it's unhinged. Well, the funniest thing about that is that John Stockton was the only one who was able to move freely, because he looked like every other white dude.
Yeah, people didn't even know he was part of the team.
Didn't even know he was part of the team. Like, he would get off the bus and get into the crowd, and nobody would notice him. He'd have his little fanny pack and his sunglasses on. He'd just move right through.
I'm going to power rank him right now. Miracle on Ice is one.
Mhm.
The Vancouver Ford text line, Jesse Owens. I think Jesse Owens.
Yep.
In the Berlin Olympics in 1936 in Nazi Germany,
heading down the path of World War II,
and just knowing that what he was walking into, performing the way he did, winning, and like, we like the underdog story. We also like flipping the bird at people too.
We do love that,
And then
especially in their home country.
Number 3 is one I haven't even mentioned yet, but I love this story. Is Jim Thorpe winning the decathlon in shoes he found in a garbage can.
Okay.
In the 1912 Olympics.
Okay.
I think they all it's weird they do come back to Olympics, because it is national pride.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think those three right
the
there for
scale is
me,
bigger.
that's it. That's it, because on the global stage, we just went and said, screw y'all.
I remember the return to play after 9/11.
Oh, that was
That one's a big.
that one's
one
probably
for
number
me.
3. That is number 3. I'm moving Thorpe down to 4.
That one's big for me, obviously, because I enlisted on 9/12. So like that 2 weeks was a whirlwind for me, and I remember just the feeling of sports coming back.
Yeah.
And just everything that meant. It didn't matter what side of the aisle you were, no matter how much you hated the Yankees or the Mets or didn't care at all. There was something about that return to play. And then, what was it? 2 weeks later, at Giant Stadium, NFL gets underway.
That, to me, like the horrific events of 9/11, that is like going to be seared in my brain. But that week after, where literally everybody came together, and it was like, that was the last time that you can remember, like, the United States honestly, everybody pulling in the same direction.
Yeah,
literally everybody was pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, Bush visits the World Trade Center site, and the flag raises on the rubble, and this is probably the last time that was like unified national pride, to be honest. I mean, sure that it happens around the Olympics, and that's why I think that the return to play, even though the moment itself is not that big as it pertains to the sports, but the impact of that, at least for me, was is going to linger for the rest of my life.
That 30 for 30 was incredible too, where you hear George W. Bush saying, he was wearing a bulletproof vest while he was doing it because, there were threats of like an assassination attempt and they thought that could happen there. And he was just like,
I mean, everything
I'm
was a
gonna throw
credible threat at that point in time.
I'm going to throw this from the mound
Yeah.
and screw what everybody else is telling me. No, I'm going to throw this ball. And he just pipes it right down the middle. And kind of does, George W's it all the way off. Like that was a moment in history,
Watch
man.
this drive.
Whether you liked him or not, or hated him,
Now watch this drive.
that was a moment in history we can't all forget. Yeah. That's it's a good power rankings right now. But Miracle on Ice, 44 years ago today, the Miracle on Ice happened, and this goes back to the pretzel of the brain of Jeff Rust. The Winter Olympics semifinal hockey match was played
In the
44
spring.
years ago today, when spring training is starting in Major League Baseball.
It's spring. The sun's out.
It's fake spring.
You're going with fake ass spring.
Fake ass spring.
Sun's out.
503-864-6326. That is the Vancouver Forward text line. We get out of the All-Star break today. The Blazers back in action, huh? Starting, or they're
Tomorrow.
back tomorrow.
Tomorrow gets Nuggets.
But we get the first slate of games coming out. What do we expect in this back half push from the hometown team and the rest of the NBA? Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on the Fan, NBA play resumes tonight, but the Trailblazers don't hit the court again until tomorrow night. Excuse me. As they host the Nuggets, the Blazers 15-39, the fifth worst record in the league. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reporting the team signing guard Ashton Higgins to a two-way contract. Higgins was on a 10-day contract heading into the All-Star break. TNT doubleheader this evening starts with the Suns at the Mavericks at 4:30. That's followed by the Lakers at the Warriors. Tony Jones of The Athletic reports forward Otto Porter Jr. not with the Jazz as they return from the All-Star break, and a buyout is a possibility. Injury-riddled Oregon men's basketball down on the farm to face Stanford. Coverage right here on the Fan starts at 7:30, tip at 8 o'clock, and can be seen on ESPN2. Oregon State across the bay at Cal. That's a 7 o'clock tip on the Pac-12 network. Gonzaga on the Bluff to face the Portland Pilots. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starts at 5:30. Over in the NFL, the Chiefs are signing former Bills punter Matt Araiza. And we've got spring training baseball, a game going on right now. It's the top of the first, Dodgers and the Padres. And the Dodgers, it looks like maybe just pushed across the fifth and sixth runs of the top half of the first inning. Teoscar Hernandez and Chris Owings already with 2-run ground rule doubles for each of them. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust, the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino is the place to watch and wager on pro and college games every week. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
If you can't find the humor in today's NBA, you're doing it wrong. Heat Check with Trista Crick on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Blazers get underway tomorrow in the unofficial second half push of the regular season. What, 28 games to go for Portland?
28 games.
Can't end fast enough.
Wow.
Well,
You say that, and then we're in May, and you're going, oh, no.
oh no, what?
Oh, no. It's the sports. They are disappearing.
Well, it's really hard when you look at 28 games to go and 15 wins is what you're staring down.
So, for those that have particular interest in
Playoff spot if they go undefeated, maybe.
28.5 is the line. 28.5. They have to win 14 of 28 games.
14 of 28 games to hit the over.
Oh, no. Yeah, 14. Yeah. So 15 wins. They have to go 500 to hit the over.
And they have the third toughest schedule remaining in the NBA. Is that right?
Third through sixth, depending on how you
With rest management taken
rest
in.
advantage and disadvantage and travel. It's a tougher schedule down the stretch.
Okay. They have another 2-week road trip
They have
in there.
15-day, 7-game road trip.
Remember how the last one went?
Oh,
They had a 62-point loss, a
yeah.
45-point loss in there as well.
It was really bad.
There's some brutal ones in there.
Hey, and they're only 2 games ahead of the Charlotte Hornets right now, too. So they could, hey, things go right here. We could be sliding down to the 4th worst record in the league.
And look,
All
I would
right.
imagine probably halfway into these final 28 games, 14, 15, 16 games,
Ooh, some lingering injuries pop up.
I think you might see that happen.
You can have some hammies getting a little tight. Oh, got some back.
Well, I'll tell you
got
right
some
now,
back soreness.
Jeremy Grant should probably not play for another couple weeks just because that dude has hit the ground like 20 times a game for the past 2 weeks. And he's like, people like when he didn't play, like, oh, they're tanking. No, they weren't. Jeremy was beat to hell.
Kind of feels like that under is the safer play right
Oh,
now.
yeah. I'd say it's safe. But also, I think we get a month into this and you start seeing Malk's already dealing with the treatment he had on his elbow. It's been lingering since the last year.
And Ashton Higgins converted to a 2-way contract today, which that's a little confusing because they're getting healthy. Alleged, actually, what you just said, and Ashton Higgins. I'm starting to
you drawing those dots.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to add everything together here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and
that
remember,
backcourt.
look, Shaden was at practice yesterday. Look, it's so bad injury wise. Chauncey Billups showed up to practice today in a cast.
Yeah, he's been hanging out with you too much.
Right?
This is the Danny bump he's getting right now. What happened to Chauncey using a sling with in his left arm?
So he's had a torn ligament in his wrist since he said 2009.
Holy smokes.
So he braced himself on a fall when he was playing, and he's been dealing with it. And he was supposed to have it done a long time ago.
15 years?
Yeah, and then he was going to do it last year, and then something came up, and he decided to screw it during the break because he's only going to be in the cast for I think he said like a week. It's a very short week or two. It was a short time with the cast. But he's got it in a sling. He said to keep these knuckleheads from
bumping into
him, like, hey, be aware of it, kind of a deal. And they were giving him crap about being old, which was great. But yeah, he was pretty, nonchalant about it. But yeah, literally everyone's having surgery now. So
28 games, 15 and 39. You've got 2 more that will be at home than on the road.
Yes.
But a 15-day road trip is in this.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at that under.
I would say so. I think the thing that you're looking for really down the stretch is how can Scoot close the season?
Yeah, what is the next step in development? Because I saw that there was a lot of I don't know, was it Second Spectrum that was releasing all their rookie numbers, and they had it was actually pretty impressive. Like Scoot is the 4th leading scorer of all rookies right now in points per game. Toumani Camara is tied for 2nd with the Deshaun Thompson in steals, only behind Victor Wembanyama. Yeah. There's the way the rookie numbers coming out of the All-Star break are actually doing really good.
All the second round stuff, Toumani pretty much dominates. I think he's leading in rebounds, leading in steals, leading in
for second round picks.
Yeah. Scoot,
not a lot of them are playing.
No, but it's like that's the thing. It's like he's shining. Second round picks are flyers. That's what people don't understand. Second round picks aren't supposed to make the NBA.
That is true.
So when you do, it's a success. When you do and you're productive, it's great. When you do and you're an MVP, it's super useful. I.e., Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
Who got drafted during a Quesarito commercial.
I'm interested in outside of the Blazers though. The second half push, there's a lot of intrigue to how this season is going to shape up because you have teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers, which you were very high on them last year. You were saying, man, it's coming with them. Just wait.
Yep.
They have quietly just vaulted themselves up into second in the East.
Best team in basketball the last 2 months.
And they were red hot going to the break. That's the one team that did not want to see the All-Star break.
Yeah.
They come out of the break, and tonight they got Orlando. And I think that's going to be a really interesting matchup because Orlando is a team that they are long as all get out. What they have like 12 guys on their roster that are over 6'7".
Yeah, they're super big.
Holy crap. They don't have a lot of shooters.
No.
Actually, they
don't have really any except for Joe Ingles, who
as a team, Blaze are great, Joe Ingles.
Yeah.
As a team, they average fewer 3-point attempts than Steph Curry.
That wouldn't surprise me.
What'd you say it was? 11? 11?
Yes, the Orlando Magic averaged 10.9 attempts from 3 per game, and Steph averages 12.
Are they that low on 3-point attempts?
Russ told me that yesterday, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me,
they
man!"
Were low,
Or is that
makes?
Yeah, that's got to be
yeah.
makes.
10.9.
Okay, well then the tweet I saw,
Steph averages 11.
No, he doesn't average 11 makes.
He averages 11 attempts.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, either I misread it or they mistweeted, but yeah, it said 10 point. I thought it said 10.9.
I was like, there's no
attempts.
way they're only taking 11. Yeah, they're taking 31.3, which
in only
27th.
In only making 11.
Yeah, they're under 35% as a team. I think
Yikes!
they're not the worst.
That's
They're
stinky.
not the worst. The Spurs are the worst, but the Magic are second worst.
Yikes! But
Blazers are 25th.
in that team, it was interesting to see why they were relatively stagnant near the trade deadline
That
and
was
didn't
the
make any
one
moves at
team.
all.
That was the one team that I was talking to executives around the league that everybody kind of was like, Orlando didn't make a move, huh? Because a month ago, or I should say a month before the deadline, it was pretty good chance that Wendell Carter Jr. was going to be moved. But then Batadze got dinged up and Wendell started playing well and the Magic were kind of going through some stuff. And there's been some stuff behind the scenes that I've heard that there's a chance that Jamal Mosley could be fired. Like, it was just like, what the hell is going on down there? Because that team has been banged up and they have, if not the easiest, it's like the second easiest schedule down the stretch. They could go on an absolute tear down the stretch and rise up the standings if they get healthy.
You also have the Knicks and 76ers tonight, which
Speaking
are
of
two
getting healthy, there's nobody playing in those games.
two teams that have just cratered into the side of the mountain.
Good God.
Knicks lost 4 in a row, and everybody is hurt. And obviously the 76ers without Joel Embiid are a shell of themselves. Then you have in the West, you have Suns Mavs tonight, which that's got a ton of intrigue too because
those two teams hate each other, and God, do I love it.
They hate each other, but they're both playing really good basketball
The
coming
Mavs
out of the All-Star
Mavs
break.
won 6 in a row going into the All-Star break. I want to go back to the Knicks real quick. Here's your out for the game. Mitchell Robinson, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, Bojan Bogdanovic, Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yowzers.
That's a starting lineup.
Yowzers.
Like they are beat to hell right now because OG's recovering from the elbow surgery. Hart was injured going into the All-Star break. Like, everybody was banged up. And that Knicks team, if they can get healthy, if they can get Mitchell Robinson back, get OG Anunoby back, they can throw a real wrench into the playoffs because they are 11 deep. Which you don't go in the playoffs, but the fact that you have those options, like it's not like, well, if you squint, it's an option. It's like, no, they have 11 dudes when healthy.
Hear me out on this. Is this actually a good thing for the Knicks that this is happening right now? Because
the adversity in testing.
No.
Oh.
Because Tom Thibodeau's history as a coach
Oh,
is
you
he
play
runs
44
his
minutes?
guys into the ground during the regular season, and they are just burnt out when it comes postseason time. I mean, think of
Okay.
that.
This keeps them. This is how you keep Tibbs from absolutely beating the hell out of OG and Mitchell Robinson.
You absolutely just run them into the ground far too early.
Because OG's been played, I think he's averaged like 41 minutes with the Knicks. It's insane.
You literally hurt them and
Yeah.
then tread water for as long as you can, and then
Because they got
back.
depth.
you get back and you're looking at in a month or so, they're not going to fall completely out of this race, especially in the Eastern Conference. And you can sit there and say, all right, we make that push now with not 41 minutes over 82 games, which Tibbs loves to do with his guys.
He does love his guys. There's no doubt about that. No, it's going to be really interesting
When
to see how
Julius Randle back.
He's supposed to be reevaluated today.
Okay.
So I believe today was the day. Randall, for those that aren't aware, had a separated shoulder, and it was not a guarantee that he was coming back. Like this is now, he's been out for 3 weeks now, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 weeks now. And this was the reevaluation day. So if we don't hear anything today, I'd imagine it's a Friday afternoon news dump. Julius Randle is out for the season after having season-ending shoulder surgery.
Yokes.
That's how I would expect this to go.
And then my game of the night, League Pass game of the night, it's got to be Clippers Thunder in
Oh, yeah.
OKC.
There's a budding rivalry going there too. But I mean, of course, Doc Rivers, he knew. He tried to tell Kawhi Leonard.
Why is Doc still doing interviews right now?
I have no idea. He did like a media blitz, and he went full LeBron James of like, I knew. I do. And it's like,
You're kidding.
shut up and coach.
He knew about SGA.
Yeah,
and he tried to warn Paul George.
No, tried to tell Kawhi Leonard that you shouldn't ask for SGA to be traded so you can get Paul George here.
God bless his heart. Bless his heart.
He tried.
But a win for Clippers, and they flip-flop with the Oklahoma City Thunder in Game 1 coming out of the
It's going to be
All-Star
tight.
break. It's good. This is going to be a fun race, man.
That race.
I just wish Portland was a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, give it a couple years. What's going to be interesting is where does Denver finish in all of this? Because their starting lineup, when healthy, has been nails. Absolutely disgusting. When they are missing somebody, and I'm not talking Jokic, I'm talking literally anyone else, they are struggling. They lost depth, and they don't have guys they can truly count on, particularly as ball handlers. And as great as Jokic is, I wonder where they end up in seeding. And all of a sudden, seeding
They seem fifth. They seem like
fourth, fifth. And that's the thing. Is like, remember what the advantage is of being in Denver. And if they lose that home court advantage down the stretch, they have a coin toss, according to ESPN's, what is their BPI, to end up fourth. So basically, it's a coin toss of fourth for them.
And Denver, they got the 23rd toughest schedule remaining.
Which, yeah, it's good for them.
It's really good for them, but they also have 3 against the Timberwolves, and they have 2 against. Here's their problem: is they got 2 against the Suns, which they're going to be jockeying for that positioning with, and they have 1 against the Clippers remaining still. So there's a lot of games.
So a big old chunk against teams that are fighting with you.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's going to be a fascinating one because they lose home court. That is death sentence for a team like the Denver Nuggets, who's shorthanded in that elevation. We saw the elevation matter in the playoffs every year.
It killed
Saw it
guys.
last year.
So it's going to be interesting how they manage their seeding versus their health.
All right, we've got a signing in the NFL that is a bit of a surprise, but the rich get richer next on The Fan.
It's the Vancouver
Kansas City Chiefs, after back-to-back Super Bowls, have signed Matt Araiza today. He is the former punter from San Diego State, 6th-round pick by the Buffalo Bills, Ray Guy Award winner in 2021, and a guy that his career has yet to get going because after being drafted by the Buffalo Bills in 2022, he was alleged a participant in a gang rape in a civil lawsuit. Again, this happened in 2022. No criminal charges were filed by San Diego County prosecutors because they said they didn't have any evidence to support the filing of criminal charges against anybody, despite the fact that a 17-year-old girl said that she was gang raped by Araiza and 2 other teammates at San Diego State. And so she filed a civil lawsuit against Araiza, which was ultimately dropped as well. And Araiza didn't play last year or the year before, his first 2 years. In December of this past year, though, they had both agreed to drop each of their lawsuits because he countersued her for defamation. And the agreement was, if you drop yours, I'll drop mine. And they did it. And now Matt Araiza is going to be a Kansas City Chief.
Which, if what we now know is that he was not around while that took place, I don't know if I would have dropped mine.
He apparently left 30 minutes before there was videos shot of the alleged incident happening, which that's odd to me that you can't press charges. You have insufficient evidence and there's videos of it. But also, it became a he said, she said situation.
But also if there's video and
of what happened,
why would you drop the defamation?
Absolutely.
That's what because he lost millions.
He did.
And
he lost 2 years of his career.
And his character was assassinated for 2 years.
Quite literally the definition of defamation of character.
So I kind of maybe you're just so tired of it you just want it to go away.
Yeah. And the Chiefs just said, all right, we've seen all things cleared. We're gonna bring him back in. And this case and the Trevor Bauer case are the 2 most recent ones.
Let the legal system play out.
People going and rushing to because it was overwhelming.
And Bauer's not going to get another shot.
No,
he's not going to get another shot.
No. Well, didn't another lawsuit pop up on Bauer's not too long ago too?
I didn't know.
Yeah. But I think that one went away relatively quickly as well. But it's one of these things where Matt Araiza getting his second chance 2 years after the fact is something that I applaud the Chiefs for doing it. I don't know Matt Araiza. I don't know what kind of person he is, but in this instance and in this case, dude didn't do anything.
No.
Against the law, I should say. But Matt Araiza, now Kansas City Chiefs, and it is a team that has built up obviously enough goodwill with their fan base.
They have the political capital to spend on doing this, and again, he's a great punter.
Yeah.
So they're able to spend a little bit of political capital.
They call him the punk guy.
Yeah. And Chiefs get better again.
They do.
It's weird to talk about this because there's no easy way to talk about this stuff. But this is why you let the legal action run its course.
Yeah.
As long as it may take. Because when we talked about this, the way we framed it was, if this stuff is true, he can't be out there. It's this is.
And I understand, suspending the guy by a league, which you can't have those guys on the field if this is the case and this is going on and happening. But then you also look at what the NBA is allowing to happen with Miles Bridges and his situation in Charlotte, where that guy was convicted.
Yep, latest charges were dropped, but he was convicted of
domestic violence.
Yes.
Yeah. And
the legal term is pled no contest.
Yeah. And not every felony is created equally.
So,
but it is a problem, and I don't see the issue with suspend the guy, let the facts come out, then you can bring him on. Yeah. But he is now a Kansas City Chief. We have a voice of change in college football, and I don't think he should be the only one. Next on The Fan.
Diabetes, high blood pressure.
Danny and Dusty with you on this Thursday afternoon. Hope everybody's having a great day. Thank you for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours. Nick Saban is out here saying he wants to become the voice of reason and voice of change in college football.
Which is an interesting spot to be, because my precursor to this is no one benefited to the shenanigans behind the scenes in college football more over the last 15 years than Nick Saban.
What you mean?
I don't know. Maybe particular bagmen leading guys to the University of Alabama and Tuscaloosa, of all places on this fine country, year after year after year. And yet, while he benefited from that, he didn't seem to mind that players weren't being taken care of.
Yeah, Saban is always, he was never really railing against, and he was more of against the transfer portal than NIL.
Yes.
He was like,
For
he
obvious
was
reasons.
always like, hey, yeah, we it's okay, give them a little something for their pockets. But the bagman culture, everybody in the South had it.
Yeah.
A lot of teams across college football had it.
But the
And
SEC in particular. for
it
sure.
was the dirty little secret. Nick Saban, though, also was the greatest coach in college football. Because,
Absolutely.
I mean, everybody else had those advantages in the South. Hell, look at Miami, Florida, Georgia, like those. Texas A&M, for God's sake,
Not every
trying
hedge
to do
fund
it.
is managed the same way.
And yeah, you've got to have a stable leader who develops those guys, turns them into first-round prospects and first-round draft picks, and also wins a lot of college football games too. And Saban did that at the highest. He did it all the best of anybody in the game. All of it, from the above board and below board stuff. And now that all of this is on the up and up, he is looking at college football in a way that a lot of people are right now. And there's a lot of guys leaving the college game and going straight to the NFL. I mean, we just saw the USC lost their running backs coach to the Raiders. So you lose one, pick one up, or no. Did he go? No, Chargers.
Chargers.
He went to the Chargers as the running backs coach. We saw two defensive coordinators bolt and leave for the NFL this year. Saw a head coach from Boston College say, "I'm out. I don't want
Peace.
anything to do with this anymore." And he goes on to the NFL because guys don't want to put. Georgia State's head coach left just last week to be the tight ends coach at South Carolina because he didn't want to deal with the transfer portal. He didn't want to deal with NIL. He was just done with it. And I love what Kenny Dillingham has been saying about this, which is like, dude, I grinded for so long. If it's too much for you, then get out of the game, and that's okay, because we're gonna have this new wave of coaches. It's not for everybody.
That's what we're talking about. Is the new breed. The old heads are going to go out, and the new era of coach is going to come in.
and that's a good thing.
Yes,
But
new blood is good.
what Nick Saban is saying is that he said, and I love this. You hear somebody use the word student athlete. That doesn't exist. It doesn't.
It never did.
And what he wants to do in this second phase of his life, as he is also, has an office at Alabama and is a fundraising arm. And if Kalen DeBoer ever wants to use him, will be an asset for Kalen DeBoer. But what he's saying is he wants to have an impact on college football. And I think that this may be the start of something that could be brilliant across the world of college football and actually do good and have actual change for college football. He said, listen, I'm for the players. It's not that I'm not for players. I want to see players have a great quality of life, be able to create value for themselves. But we've gone to nobody talking about education, talking about creating value for the future, talking about how much money I can make while I'm in college. He's saying we need to start treating these guys more like employees. And if you followed any of the court rulings lately, Dartmouth now has their student athletes are employees and they can unionize. The National Labor Relations Board, and I believe that is under appeal, but they can unionize.
It's going to happen. That's going to happen. That's going to have implications throughout college football.
But what he is saying is like, we're going down this path. Why don't we just rip the Band-Aid off and start having people like him formulate how this does work for college football
with the background of knowing what the implications, at least the idea of how they could impact universities, coaches, recruiting, players, just having that experience.
And then you say, like, if transfer portal is an issue, if all of this gets in-house NIL, it could also fix the transfer portal issue too. Because if then you are treating student athletes as employees, if their NIL is paid through the school, then you can enter a contract just like a coach,
Mhm.
and you can have written language in there when you sign that this is a 3-year commitment. This is if you're football, for example, because you
Yeah.
have to stay for 3 years minimum.
Yeah.
Like you are committing for 3 years, and if you want out, just like a coach, it's buyout season. And if another school wants to come and wants to pillage my roster, you buy him out. Buy him out of my school and off my roster, and you can have him, just like they do with coaches. And I think that will ease a lot of the transfer portal stuff, because you know what?
With the exception of coaches leaving.
What do you mean? Oh, and then that
And then it kind of your commitment is null and void kind of.
sure. But yeah, if that's how you're drawing these things up, then it's a two-way street, and that stops teams from pillaging their rosters. Because look, Ohio State may want, Alabama's corner or safety. I think they got a corner and a safety from them this
Mhm.
year out of the portal. But if the idea is, yeah, you're going to go ahead and grab those guys, but you're also paying Alabama that money
Yeah,
to
you have
make
a
sure you
payout.
get them,
You have to pay out to get him.
and then you're going to pay him
and-
even more.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
The
that
double dip.
changes a lot in the world of college
Yeah.
football.
No, I like that idea.
And
You sign 1, 2, or 3 year deals.
sure. But isn't that the way that we're going? And if you're a 5-star recruit that is that highly touted, you can negotiate a 1-year
Yeah.
deal, just like these coaches negotiate for more money and more years. And that's like one of the ideas that Saban is bringing to the board. But
God, the general manager position is actually going to be a general manager.
I think that this is the start of a conversation that is long overdue and needs to happen.
Mhm.
And I think Nick Saban being at the forefront of it is a phenomenal idea.
College football czar.
And I think you should have a college football council,
Mhm.
like a collection of not just appointed academics, but people that understand the inner workings of college football. Like just off, like you can go off the top of my head. I have 5 guys that if I am the college football playoff committee,
Mhm.
because really that's who runs college
Yeah.
football, I'm reaching out to Nick Saban.
Mhm.
I'm reaching out to Chip Kelly.
Mhm.
I will go Oliver Luck, who's been a commissioner, a player, a father of a player, who is a highly regarded and highly touted guy.
And has been a what is it? A
Commissioner.
search firm guy
That guy knows
for
the
everything.
admin side, the athlete side, and the parent side of it.
And the player side.
I'm reaching out to Kirk Herbstreit and Joel Klatt,
Yep.
both of those
On
guys
the media side.
on the media side of
Yeah.
things, and just their 30,000-foot view of being in college football, but not a part of, any singular institution, even though Klatt is a Colorado
and
homer
Ohio State.
and Herbie is an Ohio State homer, but they can put that aside for the
For the most
betterment of
part.
college football. And then the 5th guy I'm probably reaching out to is Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
A guy who was sent through the ringer at USC, has the professional side of things
Mhm.
and being in the NFL and being successful in the NFL,
Yep.
and then the college side of things as well, which he was part of the most broken part of when college football was the most broken during
Yes.
the early 2000s. And I say, all right, you 6 or 7 guys, we're going to put you in charge of the future of college football. And I think it would be for the betterment of college football as a whole.
I think you add additionally to that probably a Heisman winner. Hell, Reggie.
Reggie Bush?
Yeah. Add a guy with the implications of name, image, and likeness, what it all means, the presence of being that guy, and how that shapes your mindset as a player, what to expect, what you would want, how you wish it would have been handled, and then kind of an idea of how that builds out. I think you want a recent player of very high success, whether that's Tebow, whether that's Reggie, whether that's an active guy like Caleb. Like, I mean, name them. Pick your Oklahoma quarterback and have that guy on there
Well,
as
I'm
well.
not sure I want Kyler Murray or Caleb Williams involved in this.
But you understand, like anybody really in the last 25 years, I think is poignant depending on, or not even depending, because of their background, because of their unique situations and how how it runs down from there. And then I think you would be best served by bringing in a guy like a Brock Purdy and having him be a part of this. A guy who's the last pick in the draft and played at Iowa State, or find somebody from the FCS who's successful in the NFL and the things that matter.
I don't think FCS is dead.
That's
Gone.
fair.
You don't need them.
Yeah.
You don't need those guys.
Find a guy from a small FBS school and the implications of the guy that went from Holy Cross and then transferred to, a Power 5 school. I think having the coverage from the very top, the biggest names, but also having somebody from the lowest ranks and the highest ranks of the player side, I think that matters too. To put those in, to kind of cover all your bases.
Yeah.
I
think too many people is where this thing gets. That's why it's got to be like 5 to
this is why
7
I was
people.
I was going to go to 8.
max.
I was going to go the 2 players, and this is where it gets dicey and where I think it needs to be somebody who's retired. I think you get somebody from the agent side. I think you get retired.
I think that's why I went Oliver Luck, because
He's
you try to
kind of
find a
in there.
lawyer,
Yeah.
you got to have somebody
Yeah,
that can do
that
the
legal
legalese
side,
side of things.
That's why I think you find a retired power agent.
And then you just say, all right, what is the fix? I think like if you have this group of people though, you can bring all of those like the players in and a lawyer in, and you can bring them in to have those conversations and further those conversations. I think that committees drag everything down, right?
Yes.
Committees drag everything down. The fewer people that you can do this with, the better that you are. And I believe that. That's why I think you go like either Klatt or Herbie. Don't bring both of them in. Maybe every couple of years those guys cycle out, and then you bring somebody else in. Maybe every few years Saban goes out, Mac Brown or somebody else comes in, and they have these conversations where it's like,
do 4 years.
You have all of these guys where you can cycle people in and out. They can leave and then they can return and say, hey, I was on the outside. I'm back in.
Going back
Now
to
I'm
reality, and
going
also
back to it.
bringing in somebody newer every 4 years that maybe something has drastically changed in the game. And so there's a more fresh perspective.
I think all of
oh my God, are we democratizing college football?
Well, but it's
with term limits.
It's people that make sense though. People that do make sense. And I think a guy is a scumbag, and I do not like him. Urban Meyer would be a great person for this committee. He would be fantastic, because we can say all we want about Urban Meyer's personal life, how he treats his players in Jacksonville, and kind of the way he leads his personal life. That dude won at Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, and Ohio State. He understands college football.
Yeah.
He understands what it takes to win. But and I mean, like, look, but that is the reality of the world of college football that we're in.
Might be a lot of dirtbags.
There's bodies in closets all over the place.
Or
in
bodies
college
in the
football.
fields if you're Brian Kelly.
And so you bring some of these guys in and you say, all right, what's the fix? Because that is the problem, is that like Urban Meyer is power hungry. But this is why you can't just have one person in charge. No. You need to have people like,
and it needs to be rotating out. It can't be a lifetime appointment, any of that crap.
And you got to have people with differing opinions that can put themselves in a room and have that conversation. That's why, like we have a text, Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326 that says, keep Chip Kelly as far away from this as possible. I think Chip Kelly is great for this because he is outside the box thinker. He is somebody that will listen to what other people have to say. We had the conversation with him at Pac-12 Media Day about just socializing college football, like make it socialism. Let's go there. Have that, and then you have an iron fist guy like Urban Meyer. You have an iron fist guy who actually adapted and adjusted in Nick Saban and softened up later in his career, where you can have these open conversations and have a guy like Andrew Luck coming over the top going, that ain't it, boys. Yeah. Like, you can't see from the admin level, this doesn't work.
Won't fly.
You have guys from the media side of it that are well respected and very thoughtful, and Klatt and Herbie,
talking to their TV, their TV business people, like,
this
can't
is where
sell that.
Yeah, and then you can actually progress forward with how college football is sustainable.
Yeah.
because I think one of the biggest things that college football has going against it right now is that it is us versus them.
Mhm.
It's us versus them on the field in individual teams. It is in that within conferences, as we saw with the Pac 12 disbanding, but it's also with that as the conferences as a whole not being able to agree on a damn thing.
Yeah, no, this is a survival of the fittest kind of stuff where, and this is singular survival of the fittest. And nobody's looking out for anybody else right now because it's there's there. And to use another analogy, you're walking the line with no net underneath you. That's the thing is like so you're just fighting for whatever space you can get up there while everybody else is trying to balance at the same time. And if you can knock somebody off to make sure you got more room and more safety, that's what you're going to do.
David Shaw. He needs to be in that
Ooh,
rotation pool too.
that's a
David
good
Shaw
one.
needs to be in the rotation of coaches that
I would have
that
gone
a
Harbaugh
conversation.
if he was retired or he was coaching in college, but obviously he went to the NFL. Harbaugh would have been a guy, but Shaw's the one. When we sat down and talked to him at Media Day 2 years ago,
He's great.
he was perfect, reasoned, but knew well enough the realities that were coming their way. And even though he was like, I'm getting out, that shows wisdom and understanding of like,
Yeah.
this is about to be super chaotic and we have no grasp of this and I want no part of this.
Yeah.
And that understanding, I think, is a good thing.
503-864-6326. Your comments and feedback on the youtube.com/1080am, the chat, or on the Vancouver Forward text line. Danny and Dusty.
morning.
503-864-6326. That's the Vancouver Ford text line. We were just talking about Nick Saban saying he wants to be a voice of change in college football, and I love it. I think that there should be a council. I don't think it can be too big. Maybe it is 5 to 8 guys, gals that you put in that room. But where I would start this thing is with former coaches, admins, and a media personality like a Kirk Herbstreit or Joel Klatt. I'm not talking like you go into the weeds too far. We don't want Petros Papadakis on this. Even though good dude, very good dude, but you want to have some of the power brokers of this sport kind of leading the charge of how do we make college football sustainable. And I don't think that it is that hard to do. But there's a lot of nuance to this. I think Nick Saban is a great place to start.
Yep.
I would throw in having short times that these guys are talking these things through and having a small group and then cycling them out in and out. I think is
putting
back
people back in the wild.
And just in the break, like we were talking about this, and we had a text on the Vancouver Ford text line that says, you said Pete Carroll, and I agree. Pete Carroll would be great for this. Pete probably knows about paying players more than anyone. # cheat on. Yes. I think that you do need guys that.
Bro, Lendell White would come back home to his apartment and find a bag full of cash with $150,000 on it.
But this is where, like the secret part of running an efficient program in college football back then was
efficient bagman.
The head coach never knew about that. You had guys on your roster, on your coaching staff that were like, there was that acknowledgement. You take care of everything else. I will oversee the program.
Don't question why Reggie's driving that Escalade.
Because Pete doesn't need to know, right? But you have these guys like, whether it's Pete Carroll, Nick Saban, Mac Brown. I think Chip Kelly would be great because it's just a different view. I think Chris Peterson would be fantastic. Chris Peterson would be great for something like this. But there is this aspect of it. Like the texter says, you need people who've embraced NIL. You can't have these old fuddy-duddy coaches making rules that don't jive with the direction things are going in. Agreed. But that voice, you need that fuddy-duddy voice. And Saban is pro NIL.
And that's the thing is, I don't think Saban is a fuddy-duddy. I don't think Pete Carroll's a fuddy-duddy. I don't think Chip Kelly is a fuddy-duddy.
Chip Kelly is...
Chip may be the earliest big-time coach who was pro NIL.
There's a reason why he's at Ohio State as an offensive coordinator. It's because NIL wasn't working at UCLA.
And he didn't want to deal with the S show.
But I think that is the exact guy that you need for something like this, is a guy who's like, I'm a damn good football coach. I know how good I am as a football coach. I had to leave UCLA because I couldn't keep up in the NIL era. We need that fixed.
Yes.
That is something that needs to be fixed.
That's a motivation to see things fixed. And Chip was ahead of this by 5, 6, 7, 8 years. He's been vocal about, but Chip was rattling cages a half decade ago about this, and people were like, calm down. We had him at Pac-12 Media Day, and he said socialize college football.
But I think to that texter's point, though, and what he's saying is that you can't just pack this committee with those guys. No, you can't. And I agree wholeheartedly with that.
You can't put the dumb young coaches on here either because they don't have the experience yet.
I think you need a guy on there who has that voice. But
Lanning,
I also
who's younger.
Well, no, I was saying the fuddy-duddy voice. But the young coaches, I don't think I have a hesitation with young coaches that are active because you want all of these people will have biases towards their school.
That's what I wonder.
Yeah.
That's why I said retired agent and a previous Heisman winner. Guys that are close enough but removed enough to where they aren't the tainted.
You want to go that way? Spartan Bro, Pat McAfee. Like, he is a loose cannon.
Actually not a bad idea.
But he can have ideas that can be thrown. And this is the thing. You need ideas.
Yes.
You need everything on the table. And then
that wouldn't be a bad... Honestly, as a media guy, if you said Klatt or Herbstreit or McAfee, I think I might go with McAfee just because you might get a little bit of
I'd go Klatt. I'd go Klatt,
Klatt's
but I
brilliant,
think
but-
those three guys would be in your rotation of cycling them in and out.
Not bad.
I think those three guys would be great. This texture wants Reggie Bush on the council, just like you did. Putting a Heisman winner on there
It
would
was,
be good.
especially with somebody that was not even implicated, was part of
Yeah.
that era
Yeah,
and understands where it was, where it is, and where it needs to be.
this one wouldn't be a bad one. Heather Dinich, dudes, or else this council would be
Ooh.
a serious sausage fest.
Well, I mean, yeah,
I mean, it's
forget-
college football.
Yeah, but also forget the DEI part of this. She's just smart. Like having her be a part of this would be a great idea.
yeah. But now we're throwing out so many names. This is how committees get so too big.
But this is why we said 8.
Keep it
I
s-
think 8's the number.
Keep it
I don't want
small,
small. I don't want
rotate 'em out.
5. I don't want 12. I don't want 14. I think 8 is the number.
And you get a pool of 20 people.
And whittle it down to 8.
Yeah, well, no, you get a pool of 20 people that you cycle through, and 8 are on, and the other 12 are out, and then you cycle them in and out, and their job when they're not on this committee and council
Is to go back to reality.
is to go back, just detach, watch the games, watch the landscape, how it's changing. You're not in the minutia every day, because this is what
and you can't impact anything.
this is where, whether it's our government or the NCAA or anything, gets bogged down, is people get so bogged down by the minutia, and it all gets lost in the sauce.
And you don't go back to reality. You aren't forced to go back to face ramifications of your actions and your decisions.
You need smart people. You need a couple of wild cards. You need old fuddy-duddies.
You need accountability.
Like wildly progressive thinkers. And there has to be this understanding that not everybody's going to get their way. Actually, very few people are going to get their way, but you need to have people that are in it for the betterment of college football. And I think that there are a lot of people out there that are willing to do it. And I think that it really does start with what Nick Saban said today, and that we need to just get rid of this charade that these guys are not student athletes. They need to be treated like they are employees.
Yeah, and when we are getting there, thank God, eventually. All right, coming up next, it's our worst day on the web, and this we
No bugs.
no bugs,
No bugs,
no bugs.
please.
This is another instance of the business side of sports and the social side of sports not being on the same page. But first, here's a big Kahuna Sports Center update.
I don't know where
Mind
this
if
is
I
going.
have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on the Fan, NBA play resumes this evening, but the Trailblazers don't hit the court again until tomorrow night when they host the Nuggets. The Blazers are 15-39 on the season, the 5th worst mark in the association. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reporting the team signing guard Ashton Higgins to a 2-way contract. Higgins was on a 10-day contract heading into the All-Star break. The NBA has suspended Pistons big Isaiah Stewart 3 games for punching Sun Center Drew Eubanks prior to their February 14th game. Tony Jones of The Athletic reports forward Otto Porter Jr. is not with the Jazz as they return from the All-Star break, and a buyout is a possibility. In the college game, injury-riddled Oregon men's basketball down on the farm to face Stanford. Coverage right here on the Fan starts at 7:30, tip at 8 o'clock on ESPN2. Oregon State across the bay at Cal. That's a 7 o'clock tip on the Pac-12 network. And Gonzaga is on the bluff to face the Portland Pilots. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starts at 5:30. One note from the NFL, the Chiefs signing former Bills punter Matt Araiza. Spring training baseball beginning today. We've got the Dodgers and the Padres. It's the bottom of the 4th. The Dodgers with an 8-1 lead over the Fathers. Teoscar Hernandez, Chris Owings, each with a two-run ground rule double. Andy Pages with a 2-run single. Kevin Padlo with a 2-run home run. All 8 of those runs coming in the top half of the 1st. Jake Cronenworth got the Friars on board with a solo shot in the 4th. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino is the place to watch and wager on pro and college games every week. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now, Window Nation brings you on-demand videos. Watch Window Nation's window into 1080 The Fan.
Really? That sucks.
Our worst day on the web today is the wild, wild world of sports social media, which it's about engagement. And then when you have engagement, you have planned and scheduled tweets. Well, sometimes the business side doesn't work with the social side fast enough, which use your Slack channels, you dingleberries. Because, my God, you will avoid situations like this, like the New York Mets, who Kodai Senga, their Rookie of the Year runner-up, is going to be injured to start the year.
Oh, no way, a Met?
Yeah, a Mets pitcher.
No
nonetheless.
way.
And they announced that, hey, general manager is going to be up here to speak here shortly, kind of a deal, to discuss the severity of the injury. Well, just a few minutes later, you had the Mets social media account tweet out, "Watch out!" And it was Pete Alonso, big polar bear, smashing the living hell out of apples with a baseball bat.
Met's gonna Met, man. This
Nah.
is why we need lovable losers, battered and beleaguered franchises in sports.
Just making dumb mistakes because it gets worse
we
because
need them there.
you get the watch out, like, watch out, bad news coming.
Watch out!
8 minutes later, Kodai Senga has a mild strain of his posterior capsular shoulder. He will be shut down until symptoms subside and is expected to begin the season on the IL.
I'm surprised nobody photoshopped Senga's shoulder into the video there.
Coming
Watch
Alonso
out!
smashing
right
the hell out
up.
of that.
Coming right up. Bam!
Pete Alonso just mashing shoulders.
Right?
Look, social media is a cesspool, and it is a dark and dreary place.
Oh, and team managers to take care of it.
It is also gold at
So
times, and these are the victories that we get
Yeah.
when you have a
And social just throws their hand up because they have a job to do, and if you don't communicate to them,
they're gonna just keep doing their
they,
job.
the stuff is scheduled, stuff is planned out. They have whole calendars. If you take a look, a professional basketball team, they have a social calendar for the entire year that includes Black History Month, New Year's, Martin Luther King Day, every single thing that's going to happen during the Christmas Day games, if they have one. All of their planned stuff is going to be there for the entire year. They plan it out during the summer. And if you as the business side aren't like, hey, we're going to make a little change here.
Okay, we have our poorly run organizations.
Mhm.
Our poorly run organizations are the A's, the Pirates, the Reds.
Yeah. The Mets are
Which
poorly run.
Which are the cursed franchises that we
Mets.
have? Mets
Mets.
are they've got to be up there. I think the team that's getting beat 8-1 in their spring training debut, the San Diego Padres, may be up there as
Yeah.
well. Because the San Diego Padres have done everything to make themselves a contender.
Got a great ballpark, spent all the money,
But-
invested, got into analytics. They've done all of the things, drafted to develop their own talent, traded for talent.
Then, like, right when they start humming, Tatis gets popped for roids. You get Manny
Soto,
Machado getting injured. You guys
Goes
just
through a
get
weird season, like it's
banged
just
up all over the place, and you're
pitchers falling
spending
apart.
all that money. And here we are, the Padres going to Padres. I think that is, and that's the crushing one if you're a fan, where you can't even be like, ownership's a bunch of idiots that don't know what they're doing.
Seattle.
It's we just can't get out of our own way.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not
Ooh,
well, not
Rocky-
even can't get out of our own way.
Rockies can't even get out of their own way. That's
We
another
are
one.
cursed.
Yeah.
We are just cursed with injuries just plague. Well, Blazers kind of fit in this category
Yeah.
right there, where up until the end of the O'Shea era, it wasn't that the Blazers were poorly run, and really they were really competitive. It was just that any time that it was like the window is now, wrong, just close that door, slam it shut, and it will not happen. And that sucks as a fan. That's harder than having just a dysfunctional franchise. And then you get to the point where, like the Blazers going through a rebuild right now, you go through these rebuild phases and the immediate finger gets pointed at management sucks, ownership sucks, coaching sucks. It all sucks.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, you need to hit the reset button at some point, and it's not going to be fun to go through. And I get those frustrations because as a fan, you want to point the finger at somebody.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And right now, it's social media team for the New York Mets.
No, it's the business side of things for not communicating. That's why I'm blaming.
Oh, you're going business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going business side.
Hot
They
damn.
or I should say business. I should say operations side. The baseball side of this screwed this up.
Yeah. Speaking of baseball, we're watching this game right now. you can see the pitcher for the Padres. You can see his jersey tucked into his pants right now when he is pitching.
And if that
They are
shadow-
wearing white pants with brown jerseys, and you can see the jersey.
You can see the
Full.
brown through his pants.
You can, right on his butt. That's not a good look.
No.
That's not a good look at all. It's not nearly as bad as what the Giants player had to go through, because you had a cheeky little fun Giants tweet where they were like, "Hey, look at the stash on Casey Schmidt." It said the Casey Schmidt mustache for photo day. And he's sitting on a bench. He's got his baseball bat. He's got his stash looking very creepy.
Spread eagle.
Yeah, these pants are very flattering,
Mhm.
but you
Guess
can
that's one word for it.
You can see the old twig and berries there.
There's-
You get those cream pants are
They're leaving nothing to the imagination.
Yikes.
How does it make it by that many odds?
Yeah, how did nobody catch that?
I always wonder this stuff because
Maybe Casey Schmidt was like, "Hey,
put that one out there. Is he
that's
single?
that's the good one.
Is
right
he single?
Do me a solid.
There. That's the good one right there." I'll check that out for you.
Like,
Casey Schmidt.
because that might be the thing. They might be like, hey, which picture do you like? He would be like that one.
That's the vibe I'm looking for right there. Well, Casey Schmidt. Not seen a spouse here.
Mm.
Yeah, he does not. He doesn't even have a personal. He doesn't even have a personal thing on his bio.
My man has he went full Jason Kelsey. He's on Tinder.
Yeah,
It's with that picture.
this is his personal life. In his personal life, Casey stays very close with his hometown friends and self-appointed leader of their chat group. Yeah, that dude's definitely single.
Oh God, yes.
when,
Hundo percento.
when your Wikipedia page is that he is the moderator of the group chat of his high school friends, yeah, that dude ain't married.
You don't get that. You don't get that job as a married man. Not allowed.
No, he's 24, living it up in San Francisco.
Oh,
that
good for
dude,
him.
that dude wants the vibe out.
Good for him.
Yeah.
He's the one guy who's like, no, I like these pants.
Yeah. No. I think you guys got it all wrong.
You know what?
MLB
You
gonna.
know what it
MLB,
is?
baby.
You know what MLB did? They
Hmm.
saw what the NFL got with Taylor Swift and bringing in the female audience. They're like, I have an idea.
So this was the move
Look,
by Rob
they
Manfred.
always love the pants. Now you love the pants even more.
Y'all are playing checkers. Rob Manfred's playing 3D chess.
Yeah. Oh, there's 3D definitely. You see all dimensions.
I think they're going to start having some tea kiosks at the old concourse there in San Francisco.
Just tremendous stuff. Tremendous stuff.
Jeff Rust has not said a lot today.
He just
What he
just
has
snuck
said,
it all in.
he just is launching hand grenades into the living room and just being like, "Bye."
Just the Joker walking away from the exploding hospital.
Sometimes, you just like to watch the world burn. Or in this case, be dipped into hot water.
We're on a drum set.
Coming up next, the NBA has made a ruling on Isaiah Stewart. Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. They decided to levy their punishment on Isaiah Stewart.
15 games like Draymond.
3
Oh.
3 games for punching Drew Eubanks.
So he's not a habitual line stepper. He's just stepped a line, and that's what you get for
sucker punching somebody
in the tunnel, not on the floor.
before the game.
Yeah, that's wild. I can't.
This is the NBA.
When are we going to get the video?
But everybody I talked to said the video is going to come out. I wonder if they are just going to say 3 games, shut up, don't say a damn thing about it. We're going to sweep this under the rug. That's
I want the
very much
video.
what this feels like. Send video. Send video. No, nobody.
I know one guy who does.
I had somebody come up to me at the Timberwolves game and ask why fans weren't chanting "send the video."
I was
like
wondering that.
That would be a great. Why has nobody chanted that at him?
Oh, is Ray J in the building?
Yeah, no, Ann Edwards.
Ann
was,
Edwards,
It
For
was
those
a
that are-
horrible look for him.
who told a woman to send him the video of her having an abortion.
And that is, jeez, that was, taking the pill at home, right? That he wanted a video of that and kept repeatedly sent that to her time and time again. Not a good look. Not a good look.
While also sending a wire for large amounts of money to do said act.
Oh, money wire.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a
Not a wire to do the act.
That is. I'm surprised because it was the very first free throw when Giannis was in town.
When they started counting, that caught me totally off guard.
They started counting the very first free throw right when he got the ball.
Right
The
away, and
10 count started from the crowd, and I was like, "Hey, Rip City hasn't lost their
Yeah,
fastball."
I was like, when that happened, I looked over at Hiken. I sit next to her at the games. I went, look at this.
They ain't throwing 100. They're throwing 94 though.
But
You know,
it was loud, and it wasn't like 1, 2, like it was loud from the jump. And I wonder. I haven't asked. I wonder if there were guys down there.
You know-
that like planned it too.
it was near the Blazers bench, so maybe it was Joe Cronin down there in his seats going, "All right, we're gonna start it up here."
It was Jody.
Jody was
This is
down
how
there
she did
starting.
it?
No, she wasn't there. No, she was at
She was
that
there,
game. She
yeah.
was at that game. I'm kidding. But that was a great one, and we've seen. It's not that far fetched. Remember, Danny Ainge was throwing the towel up on free throws, trying to distract free throws. Wasn't that during a playoff game? Danny Ainge was throwing a towel up in the air right next to the basket.
That's right, and they actually made a rule that you couldn't do anything else. Like you
Well,
couldn't
yeah,
throw
you're a
objects.
GM.
Yeah. Well, there was
Danny Ainge never changed.
they were talking about college basketball because they have the curtain of surprise as
Yeah, Arizona State.
And there was another school that did something a couple weeks ago. God, what did they do?
Well, some team sent the swim team out in their Speedos. That was at a smaller school.
yeah, but there was another one that said, God dang it, they were
shaving heads.
That's what it was. That's what it was. They were like they shouldn't be allowed to use props or something like that. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is fantastic.
That's what we need.
The curtain at Arizona State is one of the least discussed, best in-game things that exists in college sports.
Curtain of distraction.
Curtain of distraction. That's
yeah.
what it is. It is a transcendent idea, and they hit home runs all the time.
Yep.
And you're waiting for the opponent to get to the free throw line just to see what happens.
We need more of it.
I like that kind of stuff.
College students, they do cross the line quite often, but they're also very damn creative. And it is times like those where I say, you know what, the kids were all right. The kids were going to be all right. They haven't completely lost it, but largely we have. Oh boy, there's another picture out. That is.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's of the
same person.
No.
No, same person retweet it.
No, there is a picture from spring training that is now even more flattering for the player, less flattering for the pants that are out there. I mean, it's got to stop.
That's what I'm saying.
Gotta stop.
There's no way. There's just no way we get to the regular season with those uniforms.
Yeah,
Nike is out there right now going, okay, let's go ahead and keep these going. Let's get the old uniforms back immediately. We cannot do this.
Yeah, one game into spring training, and the photos are jarring.
It's not leaving anything to the imagination, huh?
No. And you were right. Not all players wear cups.
Honestly, I bet you straw poll, 20% wear them.
Yeah.
20%. It's
Catchers,
it's insane. That,
corner fielders.
yep, that's
I bet all infielders.
eh,
I mean, you catch some hot ones coming.
you do.
But corner infielders for sure.
You know, third hot corner, third base catcher for sure.
First base is a
Prob-
little dicey because you have to do the stretch.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Like I said, maybe shortstop. There's an outfielder in the world that's wearing one.
Well, number 82 here for the Dodgers definitely is. But yeah, it's this is something else. I'll tweet it out.
As your social media manager, I'm okaying it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say this is something else. At Dusty_Hara, it's coming right up here. Boy.
Well, you sure it's coming up?
No, it's not. This one's down.
Coming up next, college football playoff. It's at 12 teams, and they want to push it even further. Dan and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Hour number 3 here on a Thursday afternoon on Danny and Dusty. We appreciate you. We love you. Thanks for joining us, whether you're listening here on 1080 AM The Fan, watching on YouTube, youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan, twitch.com/1080 AM The Fan, or,
And I do love you.
we do. No matter how much we tell you, we don't.
No, I never tell you I
Oh,
don't.
I do.
I always do. I love you.
And if you love
Everybody out there.
us, you can come out and hang out with us.
Hey!
In just a matter of days, Tuesday. Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
We'll be on site. It's almost here. 1080 AM. The Fan invites you to play in the first annual Fan Winter Golf Classic at X Golf Tualatin and X Golf Vancouver. That is this coming Tuesday. Tuesday. We have just opened up 2 threesomes for the 4 p.m. round at X Golf Tualatin.
Let's go.
And the noon round is filling up. You can also choose from either slot, noon or 4, at X Golf Vancouver. Myself and Dusty will be at Vancouver. Isaac and Suk will be at Tualatin. You can come, hang out, hit some balls, put balls in holes. It will be a grand old good time. We did this last year, and it was packed out, and it was a blast.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. We did the March Madness thing where it wasn't quite the fan golf. Like, we didn't have prizes on the line, which is you can win a
indeed.
spot at a foursome in the 10th annual Fan Golf Classic this summer, which
the winning
is back.
threesome. You will get a free slot into the summer, which great. That is a fantastic time. I rediscovered my love for ranch water.
Yeah, you did.
Truly great.
Drunkest guy at the party.
Entire bottle of tequila.
That's right.
But also, if you suck something fierce, you also get something out of this.
There we go.
So let's say around hole 4, you're going sideways. Maybe you steer into the skid.
Don't plant that seed.
Maybe you steer into the skid, because if you are the loser, you get a free lesson courtesy of X Golf. Good news is, no matter what, there will be food provided by Victorico's Mexican Food and Pearl Catering from the Urban Restaurant Group. All golfers will play the historic Pebble Beach course on the state-of-the-art simulator. Go to 1080thefan.com for more info and sign up your threesome now. It's the easiest threesome you've ever signed up for.
I have a great comment here on the YouTube stream.
All you
Dwayne
gotta do is sign up
says,
for one.
"Yeah, go put that on the. You just sign up outside the on the wall."
Hang the loofah.
It is the what we were talking about cursed teams.
Mm.
This is a great one in football. He said the one team that is cursed has a verb after their plight. The Chargers chargered. Chargers are one of those cursed franchises.
Yeah,
too.
that's a good one too. Clemson was up there until they Clemsoned.
Well,
They stopped Clemsoning.
Couganet
Couganet.
was a thing, and
Yeah.
now they got away from Couganet. They couged their first bowl game with Mike Leach. I think it was the New Mexico Bowl.
Mm.
After that, they stopped Couganet
Mm.
left and right. They were done Couganet at that point, and really that hasn't stuck anymore. Now Couganet is just getting absolutely blitzed on Fireball and Busch Light at Martin Stadium, which I'm here for.
Oof.
And this basketball team getting good,
Mm.
it's perfect for Cougs. You're in Pullman in the winter.
Indoor.
You get to go ahead. Bring
how-
the energy from Martin Stadium into the I don't know where they play basketball.
Do you think
Inside.
Do you think they're getting the real good pat down? or are we getting the
No.
gentle keep it moving pat down?
What are
moving
we
into the
doing?
arena?
No, absolutely
Right?
not. No, they're Coug fans.
Just make sure your booze is put in not a firm container, but a loose plastic container.
No, I don't think that matters.
Well, you don't think
They're
that
Cougs.
No, the metal detector's still on.
No, they don't. The college basketball game, they don't have a metal detector there. Come on, what are we doing?
It's true.
Coug's gonna Coug, man.
They'll fuck.
Let him be.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Let him be.
Which also seems to be the motto for the folks who are after all of the money in college football.
Yeah.
We are not even to the 12-team playoff yet, and they're already trying to push it out to 14. And I saw you maniacally drawing your brackets earlier today.
I wanted to see how this works.
when it kept
because
going and going and going and going. Your bracket started to look like an NCAA tournament bracket.
It is because we have not even started the 12-team playoff. We talked about this yesterday, and at the very end of our show, it came out because the big conversation yesterday was, look, Washington State, Oregon State, they got their pound of flesh. They get their couple $1 million extra for these next 2 years. And then it was all about, hey, the Big Ten in the SEC, they were asking for more automatic bids, upwards of 4 automatic bids apiece.
So 8 of the 12. So you got 4 left. But hey, what if we push this thing to 14?
And what that is Ross Dellinger, Stuart Mandel, all of the power broker, Heather Dinich, all the power brokers of college football's offseason writings. They are saying now that those multiple bids, that conversation steered into, oh, all right, if we're going to get our multiple bids from the SEC and the Big Ten, let's just talk about expanding the playoff again. And I think
Can we just get to 40 and get this over with?
they're smart in doing it right now, because if there's any year to do it, this is the year to do it. Because in most years of the 14 playoff, there weren't 5 teams that you could convince me could win a national title or were deserving to go. It was you were squinting going, 4's going to get rolled, and they usually got rolled.
I think NIL and the transfer portal, as things currently stand, were the pacification of overpowering teams in college football.
And so what we have now is, I think on a good year, you have 8 teams, and this year would have been a good year for this. You have 8 teams that you could say, yes, I think an 8-team playoff, you throw it out there, the chaos ensues, you have a couple of upsets, and you could have teams making a run. 12, that 12 seed is gonna, like Liberty. Liberty would have been in this year if there was a 12-team playoff. That team, it doesn't matter if they were playing Oregon, who they were playing, they would have gotten overpowered, overwhelmed, and run off the field.
But you also, when you look at the NCAA tournament, for that one time, Fairleigh Dickinson's there.
Yeah, well, Cincinnati would have been this a few years ago, where they were the 4 seed. They made the playoff out of the AAC, right? That is a team now. They're in the Big 12 now, and that is no longer a conversation.
But I mean,
I think
this is that we talked about this when we were talking about the Miracle on Ice. What do we love more than anything? The idea,
but that
of an
is
upset of an underdog story.
That is one team getting in every year. One, and that's the Group of 5 team. Which, if we're going to be quite honest, look at all the good Group of 5 teams. They've all been pillaged. I mean, the Big 12 absorbed all of them. Like, they just said, all right, BYU, Central Florida, Houston, Cincinnati, come on down. Let's go. You have SMU going to the ACC now. This is the consolidation of power, is all in the Power 4 conferences. Now, Oregon State and Washington State could be those teams moving forward. Boise State still is out there. San Diego State, if they ever get it together, they could be one of those teams where they make a substantial run. But going to a 14-team playoff, then you have the 2 conferences, and here is where the rubber meets the road here, and where there is validity to, hey, we want more automatic qualifiers. It's 34 teams.
As many as 12.
34 teams are between the Big 10 and the SEC. There's 34 of them. And it isn't just like the ho-hums of the world. You're talking Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, Washington, USC, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Texas, Oklahoma. All of those teams.
And then you've got the Ole Misses.
Well, yeah, but
like,
if you just
say,
look
like,
at,
even the secondary teams are like, that's a pretty good team.
They are, what you're looking at in this new world of college football is, those are all teams, with the exception of USC and Texas A&M. All of those teams that I just mentioned have been in the college football playoff when it was 4 teams.
Yeah.
Like, all of them. And so now you're going, it was already a small pool when it was 4 teams over, 5 conferences in the Group of 5. Now we're consolidating all of this power. The Big 10 and the SEC are like, all of the great teams are here. If you want to have good non-conference scheduling, then we need more automatic qualifiers. Conference championship games at this point should just be done away with. Do away with them, because at that point it means nothing if both of them are getting in.
Not only that, it has more opportunity to hurt you than anything else. But also, maybe we can get the SEC away from playing 3 absolute cupcakes every year.
And so this is where you go, because of the numbers of 2 mega conferences, they want more, and more teams. It will not make for
promotion, relegation. Yeah. For the love of God, I'm not going to get off this soapbox.
I had this interaction with Bill Oram on Twitter, because I asked people, like, last night I posted the question on Twitter, which is the best model for crowning a college football champion? BCS, which was 2 teams by a computer, the 4-team playoff, which is what we've been living through, where you have a committee selecting the 4 teams. 12 teams is what we're going to have, and then I want more. And I had a lot of write-ins saying 8. 8 is the sweet spot, right? But 71.6% say 12. But Bill Orm said, "Come on, we both know it's the FCS, which is that I think it's 16-team playoff."
Mhm.
And I
And
responded,
it's
with,
not too many.
relegation and promotion is the answer. Let the Grizz climb their way to hosting Bama in the first round of a 16-team playoff. And he said Bama would never vote in favor of a change because they're scared of the Grizz. I said, if Bama's afraid of Montana, Vandy is terrified of playing in Ogden, Cedar Rapids, Chattanooga, because they could go all the way down to being an FCS program.
Yes.
And that's why we'll never see it, is because it wouldn't be just Bama going like, no, we don't want it. They'd be like, yeah, we know our lot in life. We're never going to be relegated. Like, when's the last time Man City was relegated in the Premier League?
Well, I mean, they were down in the doldrums for a very long time.
But did they go down to the
Yeah.
championship?
Oh,
They
yeah,
went
but-
down to the
I
championship.
mean,
division?
I mean, you look at like
It's going to be really hard to do that in a. But they
Queens Park Rangers, QPR, was a historically great program in England, and they went down to 3rd division.
How many of these teams would we see actually make that fall? That are blue blood
Over how
programs?
long a period? Okay, over a 10-year period, over a 20-year period, because it matters, because they go through cycles. And like when you're talking about soccer, the big change
No,
is
I'm-
ownership. But if
I'm
you're
talking
about,
in college football.
Well, I'm saying,
we
but-
wouldn't see those because you can have it down here like Oregon just a couple years ago, 4-8, right?
Mhm.
That's not relegation because they weren't even at the bottom of the Pac-12.
no, but it gets
But UW at 0-12, their 0-12 season, there it
and
is.
that's what I'm saying. That it behooves you to figure it out very quickly, because what it does is it makes you, so like, again, using the Premier League as the example, there are teams that know that their lot in life is they can't catch the top 4.
Yeah.
The Arsenal, Man City, Man United, Liverpool, whatever ownership group, Chelsea, whatever ownership group is at the top and spending a bajillion dollars. You're not catching Oregon, USC, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, like that's Texas. You're not catching that group. You're never catching that group.
They're not worried about it.
But on the off chance they step in it, and I mean full chaos, which is
Yep.
happens, it would be the story of a lifetime. And it will happen.
Yeah.
Because it does happen. Pre-Nick Saban, Alabama was not good.
No.
They sucked.
But then you would, but they were not that bad. They weren't relegation bad. They weren't the bottom of
But
the
the
SEC.
fear starts happening. But if they're not that bad, then everybody else behind them is also like, ooh, it can happen to them. It can happen to us. And it's a motivational tactic of like, if we stay up, we're
I'm
part of the
with it.
money.
I would love to see promotion and relegation. I
And-
think it's the way, I've been saying this for years. It's the way that college football should go.
That way, the bottoms of the Big Tens, the Big 12, the SEC, whoever's left, they can't just hang on. Vandy can't just hang on.
Nope.
Arkansas can't go through 8 coaches.
But
Like-
they would.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, they can't. Florida, you can't. No, I don't care.
But again, that's a program that even as bad as they are, they're not the worst of college football. And here's the biggest problem with college football.
But it also just doesn't need to be the worst of college football. You're talking about 40 teams,
is
and at 3 or 4 wins, you might be at the bottom of that list. If the relegation is the bottom 6.
this is where, but 6 would be way too many. They'd never agree to that because
It gets scary.
they'd go two up, 2
4.
down.
With 40 teams, I think you do 4.
And here's the problem: is that not everybody plays each other. Every year,
Mhm.
not everybody plays each other, and that is the big concern. And so we're never going to get that. There's too much money already in place, even though
Promotion relegation would bring more money.
Japanese college football, they have promotion relegation, which is pretty cool.
Also, awesome.
And by the way, Japan has college football.
Awesome.
Their
Good for
national
you guys.
their national champion is coming over to play Southern Oregon University
That's rad.
for a spring game.
I imagine this started as like some sort of exchange experiment. And
It
then
was in
evolved from there.
they started it in the 80s,
Yeah.
and then it went away until this year. It's coming back. But that's a pretty cool way to do your spring game. And then next year they're going to Japan to play, which is totally badass.
I love that.
But a 14-team playoff now, you'd be looking at if they go through this, they're talking 2026, and they tabled the conversation. They're not going to vote on it now, but it was broached because think of it this way: if you give the Power Four conferences each multiple bids, Big 10 gets 3, SEC gets 3, ACC gets 2, Big 12 gets 2, Group of 5 gets 1. There's 11 spots right there, and then you have 3 at-larges. That's all you get is 3 at-larges.
Which probably makes more sense for an every year scenario.
But if the Big 10 and the SEC want 4 each, then you're looking at, and then you go 1 for the Big 12, 1 for the ACC, 1 for the Group of 5. Then you're looking at 3 at-larges. And then if you want to go, and I think this is where they might stand, 3 for each of the big ones, 3 go to the ACC, Big 12, and Group of 5, and then you have 5 at-large bids. That one probably makes the most sense out of a 14 team playoff with multiple bids going to the Big 10 and the SEC. If they are really digging their heels in on 3, then that's probably the way you go.
I can see that.
And it also, with a 34-team conference, then you have 3 divisions in the Big 10, 3 divisions in the SEC, and you parse it out a little bit more and you play a pod because there's 34 between the 2 conferences.
Okay, yeah. I thought you were saying between the 3 conferences. And
those 2 conferences have 34 teams.
Yes.
Right? And so you're going to be splitting it up. The Big 10 will have 3 divisions, and each division winner, you play every team in your pod, and you have your crossovers against the other 2 divisions in your conference. Your pod winner then goes, and they get an automatic qualifier.
I can see it.
And do away with the conference championship game, even though, again, money grab, probably never going to happen.
No.
And that's the part that sucks. Is
but
that
it'll
there's too much money.
It'll necessitate it eventually.
But you would have that first round in a 14-team playoff. If you're wondering how that works, 1 and 2 seeds both get buys, and then you'd have 2 hosting. The number 2 seed or 3 seed would host 14, 4 hosts 13, 5 versus 12, 6 versus 11, 7 versus 10, 8 versus 9. So it would look like a March Madness bracket without a 2-15 and a 1-16 seed. First 2 get a bye, and then
singular bracket.
You go home. You would then have all of those other games would be on home campuses, which I'm all for it. I think all first round games should be on the home campus. We're going to get it this year, but for the 4 best teams in the country are all going to have buys. I think you should reward. I think the 1 and 2 seed, if you go 14-team playoff, give the 1 and 2 seed a first round bye or a home game in their first round, their quote unquote first round game.
After their bye, they get a home game.
Yeah, and let them play at home. Go and do it. I think that environment is going to be incredible. You cannot strip the home field advantage, though. I hate
lean into it.
Yeah, I hate when you have like the Pac-12 championship game when it was on campuses and they put up signage all over for Pac-12. They weren't doing all of their.
It's the Pac-12 game, and not whatever team's there.
No, give yourself an actual home field advantage.
That's how we do things in the NFL.
It'd be great.
And think about how crazy that atmosphere is.
Autzen needs to play shot at the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
Wisconsin's got to play jump around.
Yeah.
You have all of these things. It needs
and
to
whatever
happen.
weather you have, good, bad, or otherwise. Imagine if you're Wisconsin and it's late December and you have a home playoff game, and you're playing UCLA.
Yeah, you got Miami coming up. Good luck.
Have fun.
Good luck.
That's part of the gig, man.
Yep.
Now, speaking of part of the gig, the NIL part of this is all said and done as it pertains to college football, NCAA 25, EA Sports. They have a resounding answer to how they're going to handle athletes and their compensation going forward. Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. and playing NCAA football 25.
Yeah.
That is going to happen.
Sure will, Bob.
Unquestionably, I will do a random selection and take a team in a very bad conference to greatness. And I will not let Texas ruin for me this time. I won't let them do it.
What do you mean? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Is this like a personal story of you playing Texas?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No.
You lo-
I lost my recruit. I took Rice. I got
And-
Rice, and I was recruiting against Texas.
Oh, okay. This is all making sense now. I had no idea where that was going. I didn't know.
Wasn't picking up what I was putting down.
I didn't know. No, I had no idea of your dynasty history.
Yeah, it was a tough one. Look, my Marshall one was much easier. I wasn't fighting for guys in West Virginia. I did well on that one. But we do know what the number is. Players will be paid $600 and be given a free copy of NCAA Football 25. That is the price of admission, the pay for play for NIL for NCAA Football 25.
And they have all 134 teams have agreed to be a part of the College Football 25.
After the scumbags at Notre Dame finally relented.
Which I am very happy that we have all 134. And that was like a foregone conclusion. They're all tweeting out, though, we're in the game.
Oh, it's part of the marketing.
They're doing that I saw that Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler they did their we're in the game thing, too.
Which is awesome.
They will
because
be the voices.
It'd be a little bit weird if, they had like, hey, we have all the teams and we have all the mascots and we have all the songs and we have all the stadiums and we have all the unique things about it. Also, here's two broadcasters you've never heard of.
Well, hear me out on this one, though. If you are on a losing streak in your dynasty or you're playing and you're just not very good and the game starts figuring it
I
out.
want Fowler to crap on me.
No, I think what you deserve is Rod Gilmore and Dave Fleming. They give you like all of a sudden you're playing and you're like
Pac-12 After Dark and the sixth broadcast team.
yeah, you're sitting there and you're like,
oh
what?
God.
Why are these guys? What? Where did Herbie and Fowler go? Why are these guys dumping on my team?
Jack Collinsworth is calling your game
We're
now.
here's the thing, and I'm sure Gilmore and Fleming are great guys, but all Pac-12 fans know this, that no matter who was playing, they were just going to take a dump on your team. And it was like, what is going on here? How is this? Except for Stanford, Rod Gilmore and Dave Fleming, they would always prop Stanford up. Two Stanford men right there. Very smart guys. But I think that you should, if you are in the skids, if the AI in the game understands you're not very good at it, you got to work your way up to getting Herbie and Fowler again.
I like it.
They give you the B-list team. I think we need to have that as part of the game. If you want to make it realistic, show me I don't schedule my game for days. I get Pac-12 After Dark, and them's the rules.
Sprinkles are for winners.
Yeah. Have them out there with the cupcakes on the field saying this is your schedule. Just firing up UW fans in the midst of a great year, calling you a cupcake schedule. I think we need it. But it's good that we have everybody in the game.
Not only do they have everybody in the game, they are allowing for players to opt out, and they are protecting those players by putting triggers in the game that will not allow, like the Barry Bondsing or Charles Barkley of the world. Both are historically great players who have opted out. Charles Barkley, I don't believe, was ever part of the NBA Players Union. I believe was the case with him.
Really?
He opted out of the union. One of the few to ever do it. I don't know if that was the case his entire career. I know at one time he did.
He was not a role model.
But I believe Barry Bonds did with MLB union.
He was never in the game. He never gave his licensing. And that they're going to do the same thing. They're going to give you generic player.
And you cannot, if you have NCAA 14, you have created or saved or downloaded files that made the players who they were supposed to be: height, weight, names, numbers, all those things. If, like, let's say Caleb Williams opts out of this game, you cannot put on USC on that roster Caleb Williams number 13. It will not allow you to do it. They have put those triggers in place.
Boo! Well, I want to know who is going to be the player that
opts out,
ultimately regrets opting out.
Opting out, like, there's no reason to opt out
now. You will opt out of the game. There will be somebody somewhere.
Freshman, you know who would? Freshman Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
Ohio State Quinn Ewers opts out of the game.
Yeah, and then he'd be like, Texas Quinn Ewers definitely in the game.
In the game.
Because
it's marketing. You want your name out there. It's like there's no reason not to.
And here's the thing about that game, and talking to guys that when all of a sudden you would be like, hey, I'm playing with USC. Who's this guy? Who's the white guy with dreadlocks playing, and he's number 7 for USC? That should be Reggie Bush, right? No.
Why is his speed 99?
You're going, that doesn't make sense. Those players in that era where they started stripping their hometowns, height and weight, even though their name wasn't on it, their number, their hometown, all their dimensions were there and they were accurate. All those guys loved they were part of that.
They are
game.
in the game.
And I think that this is not going to change because a lot of these players, college football is your peak. Only 1% of the Division I players go on to the NFL or play after.
10 years of guys who didn't get this.
And so being part of this game, I hope it is as important to these, college athletes as it is to the guys who used to play, because it was awesome to have that and be like, hey, I played against this guy. I went to high school with this guy, and have that be part of, playing the video game growing up. I hope nobody opts out. We know somebody will, and it'll be just egg on their face moving forward.
Yeah,
the $600 wasn't enough for them. Come on.
And in the grand scheme of things, it's not about the money; it's about the exposure, and that's what it's going to be. And like you can say, like, look, there's also different triggers in here for like the cover athlete. They can get more. If Bo Nix is on the cover, he can get more.
Sure,
you know what?
Do it.
Who's going to be on the cover
of 25?
Yeah.
Well, probably Jane Daniels. They'll probably
go Heisman candidate.
The Heisman winner, yeah.
Or
They'll go because that's what they used to do.
They'll do regional ones, right?
They would put the guy on from before, and they will have regional covers for some people. Like you'll have a West Coast cover, or I think that there's plenty. Michael Penix would probably be on the West Coast one here.
Do you go? It's one of the 3 quarterbacks.
It's
Penix. Caleb, Bo, or Penix.
But I kind of get the feeling what they're trending towards is they just going to put, you get the damn game back, and you're going to like it. It could just say football. And no,
I'm in.
If it's just a white box and black block lettering, it just says college football. Yes, in. It's not going to stop anybody from buying this game.
I hope they do. It would be kind of funny and cool if they did like they went completely the other way, and they went like a Mr. Irrelevant.
Ooh,
for the cover.
Yeah.
Like they just went with like
random player.
Long snapper for Iowa State.
Perfect.
Like put him on the cover because everybody would be like, what the hell is this? But it would also, be fun.
Great text on the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. In the broadcasters going down and as your team is not doing well, you say the screen resolution has to drop to early 2000s broadcast levels as well. Yeah. And if like you're 1 in 8, like you're playing Tecmo Bowl, like that's basically what you're working with.
The game just generates there in front of you.
You don't deserve this. You don't deserve this from us. You will get Dave Fleming, and you'll get Rod Gilmore, and you will get 8-bit.
Yeah, the video quality of the 7:30 p.m. kick on ESPN2.
That's right.
Yeah,
Oof.
That's right.
You're on the Ocho.
And they're like, we only have so many TV trucks out here. Sorry. There's just one game that
excuse is still the most insane thing ever. Well, no, the bad trucks are out here. We just can't get the good truck out here.
The best the best would be is like you go to play your game and it's like, sorry, your cable provider does not have this channel.
Please call 1-800-whatever to get this. Or it's the Pac-12 network. Sorry, your game is not available where you are.
Exactly.
All right, we open up today's show asking what the biggest sporting accomplishment is in U.S. history. I was thinking about this throughout the show, and there's something coming up this summer. Is there an opportunity to change that coming up this summer? Danny and Dusty, Danny and the Fan.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Big's Chicken. Try their smoked and fried wings, tossed with a perfect dry rub, and served with a killer trio of sauces online at bigschicken.com. First on The Fan, NBA play resumes this evening, but the Trailblazers don't hit the court again until tomorrow night when they host the Nuggets. They're 15-39 on the season, the 5th worst record in the league. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reporting the team signing guard Ashton Higgins to a 2-way contract. Higgins was previously on a 10-day contract. heading into the All-Star break. The NBA has suspended Pistons big Isaiah Stewart 3 games for punching Sun center Drew Eubanks prior to their February 14th game. The assault charge has been dropped, according to a Phoenix Municipal Court filing. Tony Jones of The Athletic reporting forward Otto Porter Jr. not with the Jazz as they return from the All-Star break, and a buyout is a possibility. On the college hardcourt, injury-riddled Oregon men's basketball down on the farm to face Stanford. Coverage right here on the Fan starts at 7:30, tip at 8 o'clock, and can also be seen on ESPN2. The Beavers, meanwhile, they're across the way of the Bay at Cal. That's a 7 o'clock tip on Pac-12 Network. Gonzaga on the Bluff to face the Portland Pilots this evening. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starts at 5:30. And the Dodgers and Padres kicking off spring training games. It's the bottom of the 7th, and the Dodgers scoring in bunches. They put up 8 in the first inning, 6 in the 6th. They lead the Padres 14-1. 8 different Dodgers have knocked at least one run across the plate. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino is the place to watch and wager on pro and college games every week. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
You're invited to play in the first annual Fan Winter Golf Classic at X Golf Tualatin and X Golf Vancouver. Sign your threesome up at 1080thefan.com.
We're just a few few months away from resuming what we can only hope would be normal Olympics post-COVID in Paris.
Everybody hated the Japan games
Oh,
because
Tokyo.
they
We had
were
Ben
so
Gulliver here.
isolated,
He-
man.
talking about how he was basically held hostage in the airport.
Yeah, he was, because they screwed up his credentials and they didn't know if they were going to let him back into the United States.
Yeah, he was stuck there on a plane that was only carrying like 14 people, and they were going to leave him there.
Yikes.
And I talked to Dame about his experience. He was like, yeah, it was a bummer. It was like, I finally made the team, and that.
And that's it.
So like, you didn't get to, you don't go anywhere. You're under armed guard basically everywhere. You hop on a bus, you go to a game, you go through the checkpoints, then you play game in front of nobody, then you get on bus, go back, rinse and repeat, and stay in a hotel.
Sounds about right.
Not a great. That's a little bit different from the Olympic Village, where it's basically Woodstock.
Not as many condoms.
I don't think there's many condoms in Woodstock.
No, at the Tokyo Games. They just bombard them during the Olympics.
Oh yeah, they just have no. It's
part of your greeting.
Honestly,
package.
yeah. Also, I'm surprised we don't get like more Olympians. Maybe that's the whole point. Is like, here's more Olympians.
Oh, just wait. Got about 14 years.
Yeah, you find out. Yeah, no. This kid's one parent was an Olympic swimmer, the other one was an Olympic sprinter from two different nations.
There we go. How'd that
Turns
happen?
out Olympian. But I started thinking about the Olympics and what opportunities exist for there to be an underdog story or to be a surprise story out of the Olympics. And while it does exist in a sense,
Well, and this
every
is
year,
because the 44th anniversary
yes,
is today of the Miracle on Ice.
which is one of the biggest underdog stories, not only in U.S. history, but in Olympic history, of like, holy crap, nobody saw this coming. This was supposed to be a massacre. But with the advancement of sport, the advancement of medicine and science, the proliferation, even in the third world countries, playing fields have never been, they're not equal. The rising tide has lifted those second and third world countries significantly closer to the first world countries.
The gap is closing. I mean,
Yes.
you just look at, I think in the Tokyo Games, like U.S. track and field had a record low gold medals. And that's crazy to think about. And I think like
catching up.
This is where I think you may, in any of these stories that we're going to have coming into the Olympics, it's going to be like, can Noah Lyles double dip and sweep the 100 and the 200? Like, that would be a great story. An American sprinter who wins the 1 and 2 after 15 years of dominance from Usain Bolt.
Yes.
I mean, that is, you had 4 Olympics where it was the Usain Bolt show, breaking world records and setting world records, and the Jamaican sprints were incredible all the way around. And that was great theater.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're talking like the American storylines, that would be like it, like Noah Lyles or, Simone Biles going to be back in the, I'm actually saying it probably, these storylines are shifting away from any men's sports because the accessibility, the professionalism of all of our sports, where like there's no more right? Where he's fighting against amateurism to get a shot and a seat at the table. All these guys are pros that are running. And because of the accessibility of the internet, we know who all the fastest people in the world are, who are the great athletes. I think you're going to look at just, it's now dominance. Like Michael Phelps was it. It'll be, but on the men's side, it's waning. I think it's more of the women's side where you have like swimmers like Katie Ledecky, who's going for history.
That's the dominance.
Like there you go. It's Simone Biles, and it's on the women's side of things as opposed to on the men's side, because we've seen that dominance all before in every sport. And that was the thing, is like, will surprises happen? Sure. But in Summer Olympics, like, what are we going to be surprised at? Like, U.S. men's water polo wins a gold? I'd be surprised, but are we going to be having an Al Michaels-esque call of, do you believe in miracles? No. Which, did you know that was only his second hockey game he's ever called?
That tracks. Was the first USA game in the Olympics?
Probably. But he's got great stories about that, where that game was tape delayed. So he was like walking around, watching the reaction of people who were watching it live. And he's like, I know what happened here. Like,
wait till you see what happens next. But I start wondering, like, the reactions to things, like if the men's basketball team for US loses, that's not really a surprise because the rest of the world has cut. Now there isn't a Spain anymore.
The French team's gonna be good.
I'm telling you, the French team this year is okay. The French team going forward, I've actually talked to Ryan Repair about this. It's like, you guys are kind of loaded coming up. Like, because it's not just Wemby. They've got Alex Sarr, who's probably going to be the top pick in this draft right now, who's playing down in Australia. So you've got 7'5", 7'1". Rupert is probably going to be a guy who's, I would imagine, ends up being like Batum, who ends up being a much more important cog to that national team than people suspect.
But their national team means way more
Yes.
than I mean, in all honesty, than the Americans do. And that's the problem with the U.S. men's national team.
But only that, you have this men's team. It's going to be old as hell.
Yeah.
Braun's 39, Steph's 35, Dame's 33. Like, it's going to be an old team. This is not going to be like they're going to send what they think to be their best version of it.
Yeah, that's going to be fascinating to see.
I don't know how many stories we're going to get out of this. We're not only this Olympics, but kind of going forward.
Not like the one we're celebrating today. I mean, 44 years ago, Miracle on Ice, we still talk about it.
Because of just how rare those kind of achievements are.
Yep.
All right, after this, we'll come back and we'll put a nice little bow on today's show before we hand you off to Isaac and Sue. Come up next year on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Well, College Football Players Association is saying that they're not thrilled with the group licensing deal with EA Sports and the new NCAA football game because they aren't getting royalties.
Yeah, college football players, they do have a players association, which this is where they get the group licensing and agree to the $600. They're saying that they're being treated like children because they don't get royalties off the game.
Well, there's also 11,500 of them.
Yeah, and that means like $7 million is being paid out by EA Sports.
To a guy who's not a quote-unquote professional, because they're going to pay out 85 players per team on all 134 teams. You can do the math. That means the 85th guy at James Madison University is getting the same as Jaden Daniels.
And here's the thing, though, is that the NFLPA has an agreement with EA Sports.
Mm-hmm.
We do not know the number of what they are distributing to each player in Madden, but I'm sure that the College Football Players Association has been at least in contact with the NFLPA and having an idea of what they're getting.
Sure.
But the sheer numbers
They have
are
more than 10
amazing.
times the amount.
You have 32 teams with 53 players as opposed to 134 with 85.
Yeah.
That is
It's a
different
numbers game.
planet that
Yes.
they're on right there,
And you're paying NFL guys
which is
who are
more,
professionals.
which is more popular. But let's get that out of the
No,
way
no,
though,
I'm-
because
no, no,
like
I'm-
college guys are. They are professionals.
No,
too.
the
And
85th guy on James Madison is not.
it's going to be the second most popular game that EA puts out, only to Madden, because
No,
Madden
FIFA. FIFA's
and
still there.
FIFA. Yeah, I forgot
Yeah,
FIFA
FIFA's
is EA.
massive.
But you have the third most popular game that they publish,
Mhm.
and they're going to make a butt ton of money on it.
But they're also going to pay. 'Cause remember, they're not just paying the players.
it is
They're
a
paying
m-
the schools. They're paying the music licensing. The amount of money they're going to spend on licensing.
It's
I'm
a
not going
lot.
to bat for the big schools here, but the amount of money they're going to spend on licensing is going to be obscene.
And this is how the NBA and the NFL work. Basically, their players associations, they have deals with 2K and EA
Mhm.
that the company distributes that money to the players association, and the players associations in each of those leagues, they don't give a flat rate to everybody.
No.
It's what Lamar Jackson